So I'd like to welcome everybody to this session of the Council of Light and to just say thank you for joining us. And we'll call in the angel spirits now. Thank you. So I'm Cheryl Schwartz, and I wanted to start this with a quote from Sousa Silva Marie, and it's called, "Call yourself. Be willing to awaken while the world dissolves before your eyes. Call yourself forth. Call yourself by your true name." And that's how I feel. The world is totally changing very quickly, and we're here being a part of it, but also being pulled along. So we want to be able to participate in where we're going, if we can. And I called this session together because I wanted to put out some of my thoughts and feelings and wanted to get your attitudes toward it. I wanted to talk about your attitude and belief system with the virus. I also wanted to talk about strengthening your own immune system and your lungs as a focus for who you are for prevention of getting really sick. And lastly, if you do get ill, there are a number of different potential integrative treatments that can help you recover sooner. And to also recognize that we're mostly white here in this group. So we are of the privileged class, and I'd like to utilize that privilege to be able to disseminate information and to disseminate easier, free things to do that will help people. So I am a supporter of Black Lives Matter, and I also don't want to get too much into politics, but I had to say that, guys. So I wanted to know from everybody how many times you smile a day these days. Number of, just unmute yourself and tell me.
Often.
Often, okay. Anybody else?
I'm lucky, the animals make me laugh, so I do get to laugh all day.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
The same here. My animals, especially my dog, is very diligent to help me, to remind me how lucky we are to be on this planet and to laugh and have joy.
Oh, good.
My dog is known as the Smiling Dutchman, and he smiles, I smile. I can't help it.
Yeah, I do have to say that my cat helps me to smile, and also being outside looking at the butterflies makes me smile.
Yes.
But I also see that with mask wearing, that the corners of my mouth are dragging down more in a frown, and that my chin is getting weaker. So in Chinese medicine, what I'm looking at is liver strength and qi from the stomach, and how important it is to keep lifted. And you can do that with your smile and with your laughter. It helps your heart and it helps your body and it helps your chi move. So as far as attitude and belief system with the virus, viruses have been here longer than we have. They're the sentient beings that come into our DNA and become part of us. So we've been living with viruses since the beginning, just like with the mushrooms. And the mushrooms are the fungi. Excuse me for a second here, Sally. And the mushrooms are a network that goes beneath the surface of the soil and works. Sally, when you come on, please mute yourself. We're already started.
Okay.
Okay, I'm talking again. And I listened to a wonderful interview with Merlin Sheldrake. And he wrote a book called Untangled Life. And it's all about his interactions with the mushroom community. And one of the things he talked about is the network of community. And it made me think, what's important to me right now? What's important to me right now is community. It's touch. It's being able to hold and to be held, and to have sustenance and shelter and food and water. And how thankful we are that we can have these things when we have them. Merlin Sheldrake says there's no head of state in the mushroom community. In the mycelia, the web goes out, and it's an instantaneous sensing from everything. And it made me understand that in order to live right now, we need soft eyes. We need eyes like horses. We need eyes like the tiger in Qigong, where you don't focus on one thing, but you see everything all at once without staring at it. And you sense all that's around you. So how important it is to sense things. Also, since the virus will be with each of us in one way or another, I believe that we want to establish a collaborative or cooperative interaction or relationship with the virus. The more we try to kill it, the more we try to find a vaccine to get rid of it, this whole attitude of struggle, maybe we want to look at it as dancing with the virus as compared to struggling and fighting and warring with it. The more we war, the more the virus will, because the virus is trying to survive also. And to understand that we, from what we've done with the planet and how we are in nature, that this attitude of arrogance is just destroying us at this point. So the more we fight, the more the virus will fight and the more we will suffer. So to start looking at ways that the animals can show us, that the plants can show us, with soft eyes and boundaries. So I believe that that's really important, a message to get out there. The second is a focus on strengthening your immune system. And we can do that by lung points in acupressure and acupuncture. We can do it with herbs. We can do it with homeopathy. We can do it with exercise, with yoga, with exercise in general, by breathing. Breath is life. So what I'm looking at is I wanted to show you an exercise that you can do and understand that since we are all connected as one, if your animal is in the room or in the house with you, or you're outside in nature, when you do something, the individuals that you can and cannot see around you also receive that benefit. So this is an exercise, and it's something that you can do with me if you like, and it's called Swimming Bear, and I learned it from Lee Holden, who's a really good Qigong teacher. So Swimming Bear, exhale and inhale. Giving, taking in. And it's a spiral of life. And as you go out, your chest comes out and it opens your lung field. You're giving out and you're receiving back. Giving and receiving. The other giving and receiving as an exchange, and this I do with the animals all the time, is lift up and shower yourself with the energy. one last time. I hope you felt calmer with that. I certainly did. And to show you how we appreciate nature and herbs, there are many, many herbs that you can utilize for your immune system. One of the big herbs that they're using in China as part of a treatment program is bamboo shavings. And bamboo shavings is an herb where you literally can clear dampness and phlegm out of the lungs, get the fluid moving, and clear infection. So as part of the treatments that are available, Chinese medicine offers a way of moving things in the lungs that Western medicine doesn't. So if you need to go on a respirator, you also need to be able to move your own energy. You will recover faster by not needing all of the support, but in helping yourself. And an integrative approach toward treatment, whether it's herbs or homeopathy, is very important for us to be able to recover if we do get sick. And what I'd like to do is leave you with a quote. And I read an interview with Alan Alda, and what he said, someone asked him, he said, "You have children and grandchildren. Are you optimistic about their future?" And Alan Alda said, "This is not a time we can't be optimistic or pessimistic, because the world is changing so fast that the only thing we can do is to surf the currents of now." And that's how I feel. So be present, have soft eyes to be able to change your boundaries, and have a generosity of time and spirit. So that's my shtick for today, guys. And what I will do is I will recognize the next person on the list, and that is Linda Wells. And please, everybody, introduce yourself so that everybody knows. I have to go back to the gallery view here because Linda is not on my screen here. There you are, Linda. So say something. Unmute yourself.
I am unmuted.
Okay, your turn up.
I was yelling. Is that loud enough?
Yes, you need to yell.
Oh no. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm Linda Wells, holistic veterinarian, and we'll start just by bringing the energy of your mind to your heart and breathing from there as if your heart is breathing. And if your energy goes back up into your mind, bring it back down into your heart. And we'll begin with building connection through conflict resolution. And this comes up a lot with animals and with horses, but in the way that we are all interconnected, as we are in resolving any sort of conflict, it will ripple out and affect everyone and all the animals and the earth. Our orientation towards the conflict or towards events is kind of more important than what our methods are for dealing with them, which I think is kind of what we've been touching on already. One orientation is accommodation. And when we take that orientation, it's as if our own well-being isn't important, and the well-being of the other, the horse, for example, becomes primary, and we just avoid conflict altogether. And the emotions that come up with that tend to be fear or anxiety, overwhelm, a sense of being used. If one's orientation is towards competition, which seems to come out a lot around the virus, the languaging of war, of winning, of getting what we want, at sort of our own well-being becomes the most important thing, and at the expense of the other, and emotions of anger and frustration tend to be predominant. Then there's also compromise, which I think sounds good, but in compromise, nobody's really happy. It's nobody's really satisfied. They're maybe getting 50% of well-being, but it's kind of good, kind of crummy, not really great. And so then we come around to collaboration. And in a state or an orientation of collaboration, sort of the well-being of the whole, of ourselves and of the other, are both important. And, you know, really sort of looking at being 100% rather than, you know, as being a potential. And there's sort of 3 steps to that state of collaboration. One is to get clear. What is it that you want? Why do you want it? And how do you want to feel? The second is emotional regulation. Know that you're responsible for how you feel, no matter what's happening. And regardless of the situation, you can choose calm and connection or positivity, and that's kind of up to you. And then the third is creative solutions to adjust to the unique situation, the unique individuals, and the unique needs of that particular situation. And one way of being able to approach this collaboration is through the heart breath. And in this heart breath, you're bringing your mind and your heart together. So you're creating this collaboration within yourself. And then through that, finding a centeredness, a groundedness, an increased ability to connect with your intuition and to find those creative solutions. And so, for example, if I find, you know, working with the animals, since they are such good teachers, if I find myself becoming frustrated, then I can stop and think, well, is this what I want? Is this how I want to feel? And to go into that heart breath and find a creative solution for moving forward in collaboration. I think it can be helpful for what we're all dealing with right now of finding a way through, because it can be kind of overwhelming. I kind of go there to try to figure out, you know, how to navigate these times. And so this is just a super simple tool. And I guess we can sort of finish by doing it again. Now that we know more about it, going back into that heart breath, where which comes from the research at the HeartMath Institute in California, where you bring the energy of your mind again to your heart with the bird, and breathing from your heart. And moving forward, finding those creative solutions. That's it.
Great. So now I have to figure out how to unpin the video. Someone help me?
There's a few dots on the right-hand corner. If you go up there, it should say pin or unpin.
Okay.
3 little dots in
Yes.
a blue square.
Thank you. Great. Thank you, Linda. That was so beautiful. I love that. Thank you. Next up is Kathy. I'm Kathy Malkin. I'm going to put you on speaker view, Kathy.
Thank you. And thank you everybody for being here. These have been incredible times. I'm Kathy Malkin. I've been working with animals most of my life. Last 20 years, I've been communicating with them as an animal communicator. I also am an animal Reiki teacher practitioner. I do humane education. I write. I also help people with their grief when they lose a beloved animal. And wow, since the earth stood still, as I say, on March 17th here in the Bay Area, these have been really upside down, inside out times. And as someone who embraces and advocates for animals and embraces their perspective, I've really, not that I didn't before, but even now, I really look to them as my teachers, my healers, my guides as we go through this. They seem to be more flexible and guiding me through a lot of the changes, because every day it shifts, it changes, it's hard to know what is real, what isn't. What I do know is working in partnership not only with the virus, instead of having this hierarchy of, hey, somehow we're above it and we can beat it, instead of working with it. And one way I think we work with it is not only through our immune system, but our understanding that it wants to exist, the virus wants to live and exist as much as we do. And we live in a world of lots of living systems that are all interconnected and interrelated, and finding ways to be flexible as our old norms dissolve, and having this beautiful time as I try to stay positive. And I don't want to minimize the elephant in the room, so to speak, because this is awful. What we're going through is pretty awful, and intuitively, I don't know if we've seen the worst yet. So part of the guidance and the way I feel of working in partnership, not only with the virus, but with animals and others, is I do what I call the self-distancing dance. And I try to be kind of cat-like when I'm out and about, and just stay on my toes and let my intuition and my understanding of energy moving to help me deal with things. But I, like others, have moments, and working with animals through communication and Reiki, they are absolutely picking up on our fear, our worry, our concern. And I know we've discussed this in past meetings, but a lot of aggression. I'm seeing a lot of bites from dogs, aggression in cats, besides seizures and other upper respiratory. So they are definitely feeling it and feeling our energy, and our thoughts ripple out. And if they're calm and peaceful and relaxing, it's much more beneficial for us and them. So I'm grateful for my practice, my Reiki practice, which brings me back to the present moment all the time. For today only, or for this moment only, I try to be in the present moment and stay grounded where my animals are. And one of the tools I've been doing is I've been of service to others by sharing my knowledge, if you will, of meditating with animals and letting them lead us to a more peaceful, compassionate place by offering different classes and webinars, because the animals need us. As my friend Grandpa, the tortoise, I've mentioned him before, said, we humans need to get a grip, because the fear is only going to make us sick. The hierarchy is only going to add to our pain and suffering, because the truth is we are connected. And I love what you shared, Linda, because I'm a big heart math person. And I noticed as we all dropped into our hearts, a number of our animals showed up and said, yes, this is where we need to be. So I do give myself moments of concern and worry. I'm human after all, but then I try to go where the animals want me to be, which is in the moment. And I go into meditation, and animal Reiki is really creating a compassionate space through meditation, and it complements everything because Reiki is spiritual energy. Reiki is love. And when we create that space, it can complement and boost our immune system. So the more we can relax and create more balance and peace despite all that's going on around us, the better it is not only for our immune system, but it helps our animals. And my animals have been really clear. I need to play more right now, play with them, laugh more. And that helps them as it helps me. And what did Joni Mitchell say? Laughing and crying, and they're the same release. So I'm going to go with what my animals want, which is more laughter and finding the joy in the moment. So things may be dissolving, and it's not easy, but trying to be flexible. I think about wild animals who come home after hunting, for example, to feed their young and find that their homes are gone. They see their worlds dissolving all the time, and yet they find it within themselves to recreate something. Think about in my town, we have beavers. They've come to their dam and it's been gone. They're resilient, they just build another one. So my belief and my hope and prayer right now is that we work on our inner selves, our inner light, and connecting with our spiritual selves, and see that light radiating out not only for our healing, the healing of the animals, all sentient beings, and the planet. And hopefully that will sustain me and help others. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Kathy. That was beautiful. Next up is Judy, and we'll pin you there and unmute yourself, Judy. Please introduce
Okay.
yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Judy Lieblein. I'm co-owner of Gathering Time, an herbal apothecary in Marin County, as well as being a clinical shamanic herbalist, Reiki master, doula, flower essence practitioner, and lover of all things in nature. So let's start out just with a real brief meditation. If people are comfortable closing your eyes for a moment, and you want to pull in all your energy from anywhere and everywhere you may have left it over the last day or week. Just call yourself back in. Take a deep breath in and exhale out. And bring your awareness to your heart center and around the middle of your chest. If you can't locate that, you're welcome to put both hands over your chest and think about something you're grateful for in your life. It can be anything. And notice how when you're in gratitude, your breath eases. Maybe your shoulders drop. Maybe a smile moves across your face. But there's a sense of ease that comes into the body. And it's from this place that we want to meet each other, the animals, the plants, and the virus. So take a deep breath in, exhale out, and open your eyes. So So I don't differentiate between being an herbalist and kind of my daily life. Being an herbalist informs everything I do. And this gratitude practice that I shared in a really mini form is how I begin my day and how I check in throughout the day. And I find that it really shifts how I engage with fear or how I engage with the unknown. When we're in an open, receptive space, we're able to hear our inner knowingness more. We're able to hear the messages coming from the plants. We're able to hear the messages coming from the animals. The coronavirus came to me probably like 4 months ago, appeared to me as I was going to sleep and showed itself to me. I think we've all seen it. It's like a ball and then it has the protrusions. On each protrusion, there was 3 skulls. And the virus showed me that when it entered into the body, the skulls are what went into our DNA, and it was like a locking key. And the skulls represent our ancestors, and it represents our ability to kind of remember and gather knowledge from our ancestors, both bloodline and our ancestors that are animals and plants, and also the elements of nature, which are elders like fire, water, air, and ether. And so I see the virus as an initiatory illness that's kind of moving across the planet. It is my sense that it will touch everybody on a personal level. And it's how we respond to that, which is going to help shift and heal the trajectory of the planet and of us as a people. So, oh, excuse me. So I think, remembering that we are all connected and remembering that we have the answers on how to take care of ourselves within us. And there's plants and animals that want to support us during this time. And we are all in it together. Right now, it feels to me like we're in the birth canal. It's a birthing process. And so things may look dark if we look out, but the light is in the present moment. And so as Kathy said, being present and just kind of doing what's right in front of us will give us the ground to walk forward through this. I think also too, regarding immunity, a lot of people are taking care of their immune systems, but we don't want to forget mental and emotional immunity as well. So that's paying attention to, we ingest everything that we look at, we ingest everything that we hear, everything that we taste, and everything that we touch. So we want to use our discernment, and we want to make conscious choices about what we are ingesting in, because everything we ingest in becomes part of us, becomes part of our cellular memory, and we have to process it and hold it. So for mental immunity, things like maybe not watching the news all the time, or reading, what's going on in the state of the world, but kind of mediating that. Emotional immunity, doing something that we love every day, something that feeds our heart and our soul. And if you are unable to touch into that, reach out to somebody who knows you, somebody close to you, and have them help you remember what it is that brings you joy. What a practice that I like to do is I like to greet the day with a smile. When I wake up, I open the curtains and I just smile out at nature. And I took this from the birds, because you can hear the birds start singing as soon as the sun comes up. And so you just greet the day and look at all the abundance and the beauty that's out there. And there's beauty in everything, and there's even beauty in destruction and in the dismantling of things. Because underneath that there is love and there is strength. Regarding, I think the water element is super important right now. We're mostly water. Herbal steams are a great way to open up the lungs. And I love using all the spaghetti spices. And those are things that everyone has available, like rosemary, marjoram, thyme, basil, oregano. And you can just, put a pot on the stove, put some herb spices in, bring it to a boil, let it simmer. And after about 5 minutes, you'll smell the volatile oils of the plants. They'll permeate, your kitchen space and move into your house. And all those are so supportive of the lungs and will enable us to just take in deeper breaths. So I think breathing is really important as well, I think, as everyone's mentioned. So just stop it, throughout the day and just take a breath in and exhale out. And you can use the herbal steams to support the clearing of the lungs and the respiratory passages as well. And I just want to mention 4 flower essences that came into me specific for the virus to work with. And this is whether or not you have the virus. But Trillium came in as a flower essence, telling me that she provides a clear channel for birthing and rebirthing. Bleeding Heart said that she wants to assist people with letting go of any disappointments, grief, or loss for having to let go of the past or future plans. Horsetail said that she wants to help with the not knowingness of the next moment, of the next hour, of the next day, week, or year. Cal Parsnip came in saying, wants to connect us with our green man or our green woman within. And I know I'm using binary terms here. That's how it came to me. So I apologize if that offends anybody. But to connect to that part of us that is nature. I think we're all nature, but there's a part that just has been not tamed, that wild part of us that is green. And that part of us knows how to move through this time. And then the water element came in just as a great nourisher to help keep emotions flowing and keep us flexible, and so we don't dry out from these times. So I think that's about it. So thank you, everyone.
Oh, thank you so much. That was so wonderful, Judy. Thank you. Everybody is terrific. Rob, you're on next. And I will pin you as soon as there you are.
Okay. I'm Rob Erdeman. I'm a holistic veterinarian. And my experience of these times is that every day is different. And the things that, the structure that has supported me and the people around me and what I see is gone. So every day is an opportunity to go into the unknown. And when we go into the unknown, in a way, we have to rely on our being and not our behavior, because we're really restricted in how we can move in the outside world. And we live in a culture that's really based on behavior and less so on what our true nature is. And my feeling from having been involved in these meetings is that we're all attracted to working with animals because they seem to, for me anyway, they can touch me in my being, and they can give me support to meet my being when I'm destabilized, and I can be that for them as well. When we can't behave and be supported by the structure in the outside world, so we have this opportunity for our being, we can meet where we have vulnerabilities in our being. And everybody who's spoken so far has offered really beautiful ways to support ourselves so that we can become healthier in what we are, more connected with our nature. And one of the exercises that I brought into a previous session is the simple exercise of sitting on our hands to bring us into the here and now. Because in non-American systems. The pelvis primarily, but also the shoulders, can really anchor us in the here and now and give us better contact with our being. And just letting our sits bones and our pelvis fall into the palms of our hands, and we can relax our shoulders and not to forget our breathing, can bring us into the here and now. And it's just another tool to support us in our anchoring so we can see what's around us. As Cheryl said, the soft eyes, we want to be able to see. We really want to be able to see and feel what's happening. And I have found this to be very valuable and very simple. Just takes a couple minutes to do it. And my work is very physical. It involves exercises, and I meet a lot of, I guess I'd say, not resistance, but it's really hard for people to do the exercises for themselves and for their animals. But the sitting on the hands is really well accepted. People like it because it's easy. For me, coming into the here and now helps me to, meet my happiness for one, and also be able to see better what's going on in the world. And one of the things that's going on in the world is so much judgment. And that judgment is because people are scared and people meet the cracks in their foundation. And when we're in a judgment, we're kind of isolated. And we're not in a place where we can be understanding of each other. And we need our connection with each other and our animals however we can get it. So I have found that the here and now exercises really help. For me anyway, to find compassion. And that's a palpable energy for the people around me and the animals that I work with. And there are many more here and now exercises, and there are so many subjects that come up when we talk. And I love the breathing exercises, and I was going to bring a couple of breathing exercises in, but I think it's almost too much. But I just say that, I don't know, because I want to make a bridge that I love it, and I love the awareness of working with our bodies as a way to anchor ourselves and find our compassion and get out of the cycle of judgment and non-productive conflict and come back to our beings. And our animals love it, and they need us for that. And I think that's it, or enough.
Thank you so much, Rob. I just love everybody. And I agree with everybody. So there are so many things I want to say when I hear everybody, but there's no time. So I'm hoping someone next will be able to address that. You're up next, Mary.
There we go, unmuted. Hi, I'm Mary Argo. I'm an animal communicator, and I've been blessed enough to do this work for 20 plus years. I've also done studies in flower essences myself and some homeopathy and herbs and just a whole combination. And I've been very blessed to meet wonderful veterinarians like Dr. Cheryl Schwartz and others who have helped me along my path too. And when I work with the animals, I do get a lot of joy. So I feel very blessed that I do laugh a lot during my day. Because even in the saddest situations, they've always got some sort of remark that lifts everyone up. And even as an animal is dying, they're like, well, yeah, that was a body. I'm done with that. And just, it just kind of keeps you laughing, and it helps their owner. But it also helps just that feeling of community that we all need to laugh even during hard times. And what I keep hearing from the animals is we do have our own vibrational blueprint. And if we strengthen and recognize our own blueprint of our own being, we need to recognize that the virus also has its own vibrational blueprint that doesn't need to match us. And the more you can focus on knowing what your blueprint is and your vibrational essence, the more you can also recognize what does not belong to you. And so you can strengthen your boundaries and when you go out, does not allow that other blueprint to merge with you. I keep getting this image of like different lines, different meeting places that they just don't merge. Like horses can merge like this, they're still one, but they're still individual. And as people, we need to be collective, but we don't need to merge with something that doesn't resonate with our vibration. And I do remember when the West Nile virus was really hitting the horses hard, those who really recognized that it's just a virus, we don't need to be affected, were the animals and the horses who never seemed to get ill. And they had their own strong boundaries. So that helped a lot. And there's a wonderful flower essence practitioner back east, David Dalton, who has a whole line of essences for Lyme's disease. And he also takes the same approach of, it's not war. You need to work on your vibration through the plants and animal kingdom and to find what works for you so you do not resonate with that virus or that illness. And again, the stronger we can make our own vibrational boundaries, the better. And just recognize that does not need to be part of me. And so really kind of focusing, as everyone's been saying, in the heart and recognizing yourself and the vibration of that virus. And the other message I was getting also from the virus was, slow down. We have been so busy, so frenetic, that we were burning up the planet. And part of this is really getting us to slow down, stop using so many fossil fuels, allow nature to heal, because Mother Nature will heal herself. So, but everything else, like what everyone else has said, is spot on with the heart and just, being here and now, and not that constant worry. That does more damage. The fear and that frenetic energy does more damage, and really being present and here and using your soft focus. I love what Kathy said about going out. You can still use your intuition to know what feels good and what doesn't. And the animals do that all the time. So that's what I've been dealing with this quarantine and the virus. So I hope that helps.
Oh, thank you so much. What I really enjoy with everybody, and I'm going to take a moment here. Let's go back on gallery view. I'm going to just take a quick moment to say that the less that we judge and the more that we're with, the better off we seem to be. And that nourishing not only ourselves and our animals, but the soil is really important, because we need to nourish the planet right now. And part of the slowing down is about nourishing the planet. And I really would love if other people can figure out a way to start training in the greening of this planet, to use this time to open up training for a new creation of working with the planet in a loving and kind way. So thank you, everybody, for all of your things. You're up next, Sal. And you'll unmute yourself, and there you are.
Here I am.
Please
Sorry.
introduce yourself.
I will, but I want to say I apologize for being a little late today.
We forgive you.
Thank you, and peace and blessings to everyone. My name is Sally Savitz. I'm a classical homeopath, and I am also, I haven't been practicing acupuncture because of the physical distancing, but I've been an acupuncturist for 30 years, so I will practice in all the ways I can. But before I want to do a little Stephen Levine thing, and if you want to join me and repeat after me, that would be wonderful. Before I say that, I think this is the feeling I'm just imbued with and listening to everybody, and I get so much from hearing all of you, and also the connection, which is absolutely the most important thing right now in some ways. It's an amazing time of tenderness, and I really feel that in terms of the soft eyes, but just our hearts are I feel like collectively our hearts have become very tender, and I truly appreciate that and see the beauty in the tenderness and the vulnerability of this time. So here is, if you want to repeat, feel free. And this is something I've used for probably the last 25 years, especially if I wake up in the night and I have a little trouble going back to sleep. I say this over and over. Here it is. May we dwell in our hearts. May we be free from suffering. May we be healed. And may we be at peace. I love that. So as I started to say, I think connection is so essential. And I love it when, I think I said this last time, when we change social distance to physical distance, because we do not want to socially distance at this time. We want to be truly connected to those of us we love and those of us who have been in our hearts for years. And it's a time that there's time, actually, to be able to do this, because we don't have to say anymore, gee, I would have loved to have called you, but I was too busy. No, that doesn't, we don't have to use that anymore, because we have time to call and reach out to people maybe that we haven't talked to in years. And I think that's a wonderful part of this. And Cheryl started by talking about Sheldrake, who's just a brilliant mycologist. And I watched a lecture from him during a science and non-duality conference, and I actually got high from his words and the images. And I think the image of the mycelium and the connections, I was talking a little bit about it with Cheryl the other day, is such a beautiful image of what we need in our lives. And it's connected it's almost like the string theory, because it's almost in parallel universes, the mycelium, and it will go on for miles and miles and miles, and it's in length and it's in width. And I think for me that's an image of possibly what may be part of what comes out of this time. And I admire him greatly. And if you have ever time, he has some lectures on YouTube. I highly recommend the book as well as his lectures. I just think this is a time for kindness, and to be the kindest people we can be to all living things, and to nurture and to be the kindest person we can be to ourselves. And sometimes I think we forget about that aspect of it. And so that is something that is happening. And one thing that really, really helps me I'm going to talk a little bit more today about the emotional because everyone's sharing things that I think are really helpful, is by doing things for other people. And I always feel better in my day when I've done something that I think may help someone else. It always gives me a lift emotionally, and it takes me away from whatever. I don't say that this is a time for me personally of a lot of stress and fear. It's a time where I'm really looking at some of excuse me just for a second, I don't know what's going on. My voice I seem to be losing a little bit, but let me clear my throat. It's a time of yes, tremendous loss, tremendous change, but it's also a time where there's so many significant things happening. And I think we really need to stay, and I believe all of us are here. It's such a beautiful collection of hearts and minds, spirits, but of the wonderful changes. And I just thought of one example. I believe, of course, I think as most of us, that we are not the only group of living things on the in the world, and there's been a lot of information and confirmation from government sources, which were always suppressed, about UFOs, about other worlds, about other planets with life on it. That to me is very exciting, as well as all the changes that are going on in the social justice level. And one of the things that gave me so much joy this week, I believe it was on Monday, and I was looking at something with my sister, and it was a picture of Carl Reiner. He died last week, and he was 90. I believe he was 98 years old, and he's been a source of joy for people for what years, centuries, practically the 1,000-year-old man, centuries. But anyway, it was a picture of him with his son Rob and his daughter Annie, and with a Black Lives t-shirt on, and it brought such a huge smile to my face. And I thought, what a wonderful human being. So any way that we can connect with things like that, the animals, everybody's talking about the animals. I wake up, my little dog comes running, her tail is wagging so fast, I think she's gonna start flying. She is so filled with joy. That's all she knows. And that's what she presents to me. And what a wonderful way to start my day. So in terms of thinking about service, so doing something for someone else, looking at people, Ram Dass, I went to a Ram Dass thing once, and he said he sees a soul in everyone's eyes. And I think that stayed with me, stayed in my heart. So it's a time of tenderness, vulnerability, connection, most importantly, and above all, love. So thank you for being here. I love sharing with you, and we could go on and on and on. I know that, but that's enough. Bless you all.
Thank you, Sally. And Marlene, you're up. And please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Marlene Smith, and I'm a retired integrative veterinarian. And I live on Vancouver Island. I'm very, very blessed to live on an island. And we have leadership that pulled up the drawbridge a little bit and did not allow people from highly infected areas to enter the island. So we have been isolating for the last 4 months. And right now we have had no cases, no infections, and we have had no deaths and no hospitalizations. So now we're opening up the gates and let the drawbridge down. And it has fascinated me. And I'm very grateful for this council. I'm very grateful to connect with all of you, because it gives me that connection to love and hope. I needed to connect with you. I needed to hear from you, because all the information we get from the United States is horror, an absolute horror show of so many more infections, so many more people dying, and totally out of control, like a boat without a captain on the wheel. So it has terrified most of us. So for me, this is so healing to hear from you and to see from you the love and connection, to hear the words, you all have said it, where we are right now, that we have to shift from fear to hope, because fear means paralysis, hope means action, and that we can do something. I hear you all talk about connections, like the myceliums. Yes, we are connected. And yes, we are all connected, not only to each other, like all of us on this council, but all the other human beings and all that lives on the planet. All tribal stories, all people that live closer to nature and are still connected to nature quite intensely, and who are using nature to be a part of their teachings. They all say that we are all related. And we are. So also the virus, you ask what my relationship to the virus is. Well, it has been a bit of a puzzle, and I'm very grateful, Cheryl, for your connection, for your words. that it is a relationship, not of fear, and not that we want to destroy it, but it is like a dance. Like we can dance with the waves when you're surfing, or we can dance on the white water when we paddle in canoe on white water. Or if you are in skiing, you go down the slope and it feels like a dance. So I'm very, very grateful. This is the best session I think we have ever had. And to me, it also signifies the movement, the progress that we have made collectively. And I think each of us represent other people in our areas on this planet. So to me, it feels like the birth canal that you mentioned, that we are actually, we can see the light. I can see that we're making a progression. And today, what I hear from you, we're all on the same page. We're all talking about love coming from the heart, bringing the mind and the love from the universe down to our hearts, and then manifesting it and creating. With that manifestation, we create the future. So I hear that message loud and clear. That is what I have, that has been my being my entire life. So there is another thing that I'm very grateful for, that nature and the wild and domestic animals have been a big part of my teachings in life. It has always been my passion to understand how to connect, what this connection means. And I talk a lot about in metaphors, I think in metaphors. To me, it is like, yes, we're all on that river, or yes, we're all on that ocean, and we're all surfing, or we're all paddling our boat down that river. We're not all on that same stretch of the river. And we all have experienced that river is picking up speed, and we know when it picks up speed, we'll go through some rapids. And that's what we experience. We experience in the fear of the rapids, but also we have had great teachers within us, and a lot of teachers are present here today. So there is nothing wrong when you really feel scared of what is going to happen next, to pull your boat, your canoe out of the water and stand on the shore and look at the river and look for a teacher that can help you to paddle that next stretch safely. And I think the beauty is that we all have these teachers. We have these teachers in our animals. And I think it was you, Kathy, who mentioned that the animals have something to say too. I see that in my relationship that I have with, right now I'm trying to really figure out what this communication is with the animals. So I do agility with my little brown Labrador. And she's teaching me when I am not doing quite the right thing. She stops and looks at me, and it makes me think, what did I just do that make her do that and look at me, or do the wrong thing, or do not what I wanted her to do? And I get that message, you did this or you do that. So I change it, correct it, and we dance together through the course. So that is what I think, everything that I've heard today. I heard Judy talking about the herbal essences. We had the most trilliums this year in our yard and in our garden, our forest around us than I've ever seen before. The horsetail is coming up right now. We had a lot of water to keep us wet. The bleeding heart, they have been everywhere. So I am surrounding every single plant you mentioned, Judy, has been around me in abundance, and I have noticed them, and I have been grateful, and I have connected. And everything you said, and all of you said, I have noticed, and it's happening. And it gives so much joy, so much hope, so much gratefulness to know that in spite of the dark picture that is being painted to us, that you are still there, and you have that connection, you have that same message, you have that same hope, you have that same love, that same gratefulness, that same compassion. So I feel almost choking up here. I feel really okay that we have the guidance, we are being guided. We just have to relax, come from the heart to everything that you all have said, and bring that into materialization. I don't want to say we can't go wrong. We just have to be careful and we have to seek out the right technique for the right patch of right water so we can paddle it safely. And I want to finish saying that some of the metaphors that have been really strong for me, for those of you that ski, especially have skied or are skiing in the backcountry, you don't look at the trees that you want to avoid. You look at the gaps between the trees to get safely down that hill. My neighbor made a comment the other day. She was hiking, and one of the people in the group, they had to go over a log over a river. It was nothing really serious, and the person froze because she stared at the river, and she stared at the possibility that you could fall off and fall in that river. And she said, right now, you have to focus to the end of the log. That's where you're going. So keep focusing on that log. Don't get distracted. Focus on that log. And that is the metaphor that I get from the animals. Be present. You're at that log. Look at where we want to go, which is in our mind. And it is love, compassion, and living in harmony and balance with all that lives on this planet, which is our goal. So I heard today from all of you, you're all on that path. We are together. And I'm so grateful. Thank you, Cheryl, and thank you all for giving me hope, because I have been crying my eyes out for you guys in the United States. And now I know there's still some beautiful souls and spirits, lots of beautiful souls and spirits, and you too get the guidance and the love. So I have no other message. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. This has just been totally amazing. And everybody unmute yourself and say whatever it is you'd like to say before we end this, because everybody's message has been phenomenal. And it is true. As a surfer, all of the things, you don't look into the water because you're going to get off your board that way. When you're riding on a horse, you don't look at the ground. You look where the horse, between the eyes of the horse and between the ears of the horse. So it's all the same. And I feel too very blessed that everybody is joined in today. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And please, anybody wants to say anything before we finish, please do.
I want to say thank you, Cheryl, for you, for organizing this. It is, I'm very deeply touched by you and by everyone here. And thank you.
I can't say it better than Sally.
You.
I agree. I agree.
Thank you all. You've all been wonderful. And we will end this meeting, and out to the audience of the world. We love you, and we are.
We are.
All is well.
Thank you for putting this together.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.